The June 16th, 2025 meeting of the Bay City Commission will come to order. The clerk will give the invocation, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Coakley.
Here.
Bernie Obershaw.
Here.
Tenney.
Here.
Hilliker. DeWitt.
Here.
Runberg.
Here.
Charlebois.
Here.
Morris.
Here.
And Mayor.
Present. All right, and we have everybody accounted for. First order of business, we have no closed session. We have presentations. So we have Jim Reum here with Bay Future, and I'm going to turn it over to him to give a presentation about the status of Bay Future.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jim Reum, President and CEO of Bay Future. Hope you're all having a wonderful summer so far. That officially looks like it started today. And they're enjoying Detroit Tiger baseball with the winning season so far. In Bay County, our summer event calendar is in full swing. Awesome concerts, festivals, community activities are huge economic drivers and bring in millions of dollars to our community. Today I'm going to take a few minutes to explain what Bay Future has been up to and how we do it. My aim is that by the end of the presentation you have a better understanding of what Bay Future is and how we can work better together. I'm very proud of the team at Bay Future. We're not a large team, but we're focused on moving Bay County forward every single day. Our operations manager, Sarah Preem, is an SVSU grad that lives in Frankenmuth Township and has a wealth of organizational leadership and operations management skills that Bay Future relies on every day. Mark Hitchcock is Bay Future's economic development manager. Mark lives in Bay City and is a decorated U.S. Army combat vet who completed his master's and bachelor's degree from Northwood. His background and education make him a perfect fit for his role. We'll hear more about Michelle Judd later in the presentation, but her education and experience make her indispensable to us here in Bay County. So what does Bay Future do? Economic development can be really difficult to define, but most people know it when they see it. In a nutshell, our mission is to increase the tax base, which in turn increases the services municipalities can provide to citizens. We also support job retention, career advancement, and connecting workforce and employers in the labor market. Our mission is accomplished by following the 5 tactics of our strategic plan. Our current strategic plan was created in 2020 in response to the community's key challenges, and the Bay Future Board of Directors is currently crafting a new strategic plan that will guide us going forward. I'm going to key in on a few of these strategic pillars and explain them in more detail. Workforce is a key factor, if not the most important factor, in every business, location, or expansion decision. Qualified labor is a strength for us here in Bay County. We have a work ethic here that is tough to match. Some of you may have heard of the Going Pro Talent Fund. Going Pro is a competitive grant led locally by our friends at Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works. Going Pro can help companies with the cost of qualified training programs. Since 2020, Bay County companies have leveraged more than $2.5 million of these training funds. I'm a pretty competitive guy, especially when it comes to leveraging public funds to be used in our community. These dollars are going to be spent somewhere in Michigan, so why not Bay County? Bay Future also relies heavily on partners that offer some highly significant training programs employers should be considering. Delta College is a vital local partner offering programming like the Michigan New Jobs Training Program. The Michigan New Jobs Training Program is an economic development tool for new and expanding businesses, providing the ability to train their workforce at virtually no cost when they implement a training agreement with Delta College. The payroll tax that is normally paid to the state of Michigan for these qualified roles is instead diverted to pay for employee training. This results in thousands of dollars of prepaid training for new employees in qualifying positions. Bayfuture also partners with Saginaw Valley State University and institutions like the Bay Aranac ISD to build and maintain pathways from education to meaningful employment. Businesses and employers who are looking to relocate or expand often look at facilities or sites with developed infrastructure that will address their needs. Bayfuture is tasked with keeping a list of these available sites and making sure they're ready to submit for potential projects. One way that Bayfuture has worked to increase the readiness of sites is by acquiring grant dollars to build out infrastructure or develop plans on sites. Since 2020, Bayfuture has utilized more than $4.8 million in infrastructure grants aimed towards making sites more attractive to investors and businesses. We are currently working through a $248,000 grant that is specific towards conducting due diligence studies on marketable properties. Boundary surveys, environmental, wetland studies, these provide a clear picture for developers to be able to mitigate risk. Let's talk about some projects Bayfuture is working on right now. Currently, Bayfuture is working with Monitor Township, Bay County Department of Water and Sewer, Bay County Road Commission, and the Spicer Group to use a $4.1 million grant to add much-needed sanitary sewer infrastructure improvements to the 3 Mile and Wilder Road area. These improvements will not only help existing business, but will allow the attraction of new business to those parcels. Many of you may have never heard of HL Mechatronics. They have been doing business and growing in Bay County for 10 years. They are a global company and had competitive offers from other states to relocate. They chose to stay in Bay County. Their new project in Williams Township will allow them to continue to grow and hire more employees. One stat worth noting on this project is that the average wage of all newly hired employees is a robust $56.40. These are highly skilled, high-tech jobs that are becoming the norm in Bay County manufacturing. Every project needs partnership to get across the finish line. The MEDC, Consumers Energy, and Williams Township all played vital roles in getting this project over the finish line. Bay Valley has been a mainstay in Bay County for years and years, but it fell on some hard times and is in need of some love to get back to its former glory. StoryCo is a visionary company that seeks out distressed resort properties like Bay Valley and specializes in restoring and enhancing them. With the help from the MEDC, the Bay County Brownfield Board, and Consumers Energy, along with Frankenless Township, Bay Valley will see a massive facelift to revitalize the 147 guest rooms, conference spaces, restaurant, and golf course. This project will add more reason to consider Bay County as a premier destination. One that I'm the most excited about is our industrial and commercial studies. A major component to meaningful economic development is strategy. Strategy is needed to create a blueprint and an actionable plan to drive growth all over Bay County. Bay County has suffered population decline, and with that, a stark decrease in commercial activity in once thriving areas. Waiting for chain restaurants and big box stores to arrive is not a viable solution. Local municipalities, partner with Bayfuture, will be able to set a course for recovery with meaningful strategies and actionable items. This project involves an analysis of demographic and socioeconomic trends, commercial and industrial market data, locational analytics, and benchmarking against similar successful markets. It also includes other strategic development plans and analysis, site readiness assessments, and a focus on attracting high-wage industries. How is Bayfuture paying for this? The lion's share of the project funding is from dollars acquired through administration from a previous grant. Studies like this are not cheap, and choosing which areas to study is not easy. But we plan to conduct this work in several phases over the next few years to build a robust, overarching package of strategies and renewed economic focus. Last but not least, the Small Business Development Center. Every small business is currently paying for Michelle to be a consultant on their staff. That's a fun way of saying that funding for her services come from a variety of public sources, and they are in turn free to all small businesses. Michelle has met with more than 200 current and potential businesses in Bay County and has secured more than $1.4 million in capital investment. One of those services that SBDC offers is no-cost secondary market research to help businesses better understand and reach their target audience. Knowing the target audience is a critical step for any business to reach the right customers and generate revenue. There are many businesses who are thinking they don't need Michelle's help. They do. There's no shame or stigma in wanting to do everything possible to ensure success. Michelle's meetings are always 100% confidential. One way to support the SBDC and the businesses who engage is by attending the Pitch by the Bay competition on Wednesday, November 12th at John Glenn High School. These events are fun and exciting, and you get to witness local businesses joining our community right there up on the stage. Please help Michelle and the SBDC by referring these services to each and every business. Appreciate the opportunity to let you all know a little bit more about what Bay Future is and what's going on right now. Please jot down my contact information if you need, and I'm open and available to any questions.
Commissioner Charlebois.
I was wondering if you were able to get property tax breaks for the businesses that are trying to come in here, and if so, how do you do it? Or
So that's not something I do, that's actually something the commission does through help with the city staff if it's inside the city limits. The commissioners vote for that.
All set, Commissioner? More questions? Okay, Commissioner DeWitt.
Hi. The first thing I want to note and confirm, funding for Bay Future, the governmental side of it is 50% City of Bay City, 50% County of Bay County, correct?
No,
What is the split?
we are a public-private 501c3 nonprofit and have a multitude of public and private investors.
Can somebody, city manager, maybe give me the dollars invested that we share through city of, or through the city and the county of the shared agreement with Bay Future?
I can tell you right now, we contribute 100,000.
And the county matches that, correct?
They do the same as well, yes.
Okay, so it's 50-50 on the governmental side of it. So I noticed on the presentation.
Just for clarification, there are other governmental units that contribute.
The township.
Right.
He can explain, like, there's other municipalities within Bay County that also contribute like we do.
Other townships and small cities also invest in Bay Future.
Okay, because the only thing that I heard here over the years was the city and the county combined. So if the other ones are doing it, that's great, and that actually helps a little bit on my next question. Noted investments of $4.8 million in Monitor, a undisclosed amount in Williams, and the Franklin List project is $15 million in total, which is not going to be all from Bay Future. That's going to be mostly private. Do you have any examples of any projects within the city of Bay City that received any funding in the past 3 years?
Funding from where?
Bay Future assistance, whether it's the site plans or anything that's opened up or started construction within the city of Bay City?
In the last 3 years, Bay Carbon made a $1.6 million investment. Mercen is somewhere around $85 million. There are several housing projects. Goujon Brothers has made probably an investment every 2 or 3 years, just off the top of my head.
But did Bay Future contribute to any of those investments, or were those done strictly by the companies?
Contribute as far as support and work through the project. We don't financially contribute to any project.
But you help apply for grants, so you can help with business site readiness and whatnot. Did you guys assist with those businesses on any of those?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. Thank you.
All set, Commissioner?
Yes.
Commissioner Coakley.
I just want to take a moment and thank you for all you guys do, trying to build the community and get businesses in here. The impact, I think, will continue to grow.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. I would like to say that, not to say that nobody else can lay claim to this, but I believe I have the best job ever where I get to root for my hometown every single day.
Commissioner Tenney.
Thank you for being here and what you do. Just echoing what my colleague said, but I really mean that. And I'm just wondering, forgive me for not remembering what it said in the article that I read. When it comes to the economic study, what part of the city of Bay City proper are you guys looking at?
So the main corridor is being done in the economic and commercial, or the commercial and industrial feasibility study. The parts that touch Bay City are Euclid and Wilder. So whichever side of the street is going to be there, but like I said, this is phase one of the intended long-term strategy gathering project, so there will be more in the future.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, Commissioner Runberg.
Thank you for being here. I had two questions. One is regarding Michelle's activities within Bay Future. Is there a set criteria for using her services, or if it's like a one-man mom and pop operation or anything like that, that's comfortable, they can go and use Michelle's services?
That's a good question. Yeah, anybody can fill, there's an online intake form on the SBDC website, and anybody is eligible to do it as long as they meet the criteria of a small business, which I believe is 500 or less employees.
Okay, thank you. And not to put you on the spot, but I've had a business, an entrepreneur in the community reaching out to me, and I'm sure he's reached out to my colleagues as well. But are you familiar with the efforts for WHLs to their expansion of the hotel within the west side of the Midland Business Street District?
I haven't been pulled in on that project.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other commissioners? I just want to thank you, Mr. Room, for coming in and talking about Bay Future. I have the privilege of sitting and serving on the board of directors and working with the leaders in that group to bring more economic development to our community, and definitely work is appreciated. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, next item is a sign ordinance. I'm guessing Mr. Multaine's here to talk about sign ordinance. Signs everywhere, signs.
Good evening. I'm Terry Multaine, the Planning and Zoning Manager. Tonight I have the pleasure of introducing Jill Baum. She is with Giffel and Webster. They have been working on our sign code for the past couple of months. We've had a series of meetings and phone chats and going through just the ordinance itself and creating a new ordinance. And the ordinance that you have in your packet for the first reading tonight is well prepared with a big emphasis on some graphics that was lacking in the other sign code. So I don't want to delay or take Jill's time, so I'll let Jill get started.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jill Baum, and I am happy to be here this evening to share a short presentation about the sign ordinance, as was indicated. So your last sign ordinance was adopted in 2017, and the new sign ordinance and the amendments that are included in there respond to some changes to case law as a result of a pretty significant sign case called Reed versus the Town of Gilbert that was a few years back. But the main takeaway from that was to prohibit, the courts were saying, content-based regulation. So what does that mean? It's basically, if you have to read the sign to explain what kind of a sign it is, then you're probably regulating the content. Where this case specifically focused was temporary signage. And so things like a directional sign or a community event sign, maybe they were the same thing, essentially, but they were treated a little bit differently in different ordinances. And so that was what that case was really about. Some of the other changes to the ordinance were to revise the intent statement. So we're saying up front, what are the things that are important? And more importantly, why is the city able to regulate speech? Because we have some criteria here. We talk about it's important for our aesthetics for the community. It's important we recognize that people have the ability to have free speech. We want to make sure we are presenting that in our sign ordinance. To support commerce and economic development, it's kind of good having our presentation after the one that you just heard, because there are some ways in which this code helps support local businesses as well. And promoting fairness and predictability. So we've set out front in the intent statement that these are the things that are important, and that's what we're doing. We've included some definitions, updating those to better reflect the terminology that's used in the sign ordinance. And if you took a look through it, I'm sure you'll see a lot more illustrations. So we can use words to tell people how we are defining things or how we're regulating things, but if we can also show a picture to go along with that, that helps then provide explanation and understanding, hopefully for more people. Permits and prohibitions, so one of the things as you look through that, we really tried to organize it in a way that would help people as they read it. So maybe they want to know, well, all right, what kind of sign do I have, and then do I need a permit for it? So those are right up front. The section tries to really be clear in talking about when a permit is required and when it's not needed, and then putting forth the procedures and the information that would be required for that permit. One of the other things that is always good to have in there is promoting safety. Sometimes we have, stop and look, check out our new sale. Like, we want to try to avoid things like that, things that look like traffic control devices. We want to just have that as part of our safety features in our ordinances. Addressing location, height, area, and illumination. So providing some better guidance on location, and again, an emphasis on safety. You'll see standards in there that are regulating illumination and where that is off of the sign. And then having, again, our graphics that help promote that understanding. So in the little graphic we have here, cafe and bakery, just giving people a little bit of flexibility with those ascenders, so the things that come up from our letters and the descenders, the things that come below, and just making it clear how we're counting that in our sign standards. Signs permitted by use, we really like to present this in a table form because we feel like that's a really easy way for people to digest the information. They can look at the kind of sign they're looking for and they can see what's required. We preserved a lot of by use regulation there to avoid creating some nonconformities. So that was a good approach here in this new revision. So permanent signs, each sign type has its associated regulations. So once you've looked in the table, then you'll keep looking to see if there's any additional information that goes with that sign. Again, trying to balance property rights along with free speech with aesthetics and safety, and it's trying to incentivize good design with some sign bonuses. Temporary signs, really trying to not regulate those differently by message anymore. That was the key portion of the revision to make sure we're more compliant with case law, and creates an allowance for people to use as they wish. So we're giving them the boundaries, and they can put out there whatever kind of message they would like. Non-conforming signs, the goal is always to slowly see those non-conforming signs go away, allowing for those to continue to be maintained as long as they're in good condition, allowing some updates, and then this establishes when those signs have to be brought into compliance. So that'll be part of an ongoing outreach effort after the ordinances are adopted, or ordinance is adopted, into the future to communicate well with property owners so that they understand what that all means and what the timelines are. Maintenance and removal, some expanded maintenance standards, really trying to make sure that things have a good look to them and that they're safe, and it's expectations for full removal when signs are coming down. With the appeals and enforcement, really just looking to make sure that that's consistent, and clarifying some text there, so not a lot of changes in there. I think that is our last slide. So that's just our brief overview. Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Runberg.
First off, thank you for attending and giving us the presentation. I didn't know I'd be interested in signs, but here I am. Two things. One, does this ordinance, and I apologize, I haven't actually read the entirety of the text of the ordinance, does it address luminosity regarding safety and the safety and aesthetics of the sign? So like thinking the billboards that are too bright, that type of thing?
There are two parts of the code that address illumination, and if you have, I think we have the same version. Page 11 down at the bottom, there's a little table, and it talks about the size of the sign and then the measuring distance, so where we measure from. It's really helpful too, because we're not right at the sign face itself.
Okay, thank you. I'll definitely take a look at that. And the other one's kind of just a little bit of, to entertain me a little bit. I'm not asking you to comment on anything that would be considered contractual or anything like that, but should the city ever decide to create signs that divert traffic around our toll bridges, does the ordinance have anything to say about that, or is that strictly something for us to consider contractually?
They're your signs in your public right-of-way, those would probably be covered in a different way.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
All right, any other commissioners? Thank you very much. The only thing I ever hear, I talked to a couple downtown residents and regarding illumination, and we have more lighted signs coming up, and, you know, if you ever watch the Seinfeld episode where there's the Kenny Rogers chicken, and some folks down there feel like we have some few Kenny Rogers flashing chicken signs downtown, but that's all I've heard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next order of business is for the adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Commissioner Morris.
Move to adopt the agenda. Move to adopt the agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner Tenney.
Second.
Thank you. Do any members of the commission wish to add an item to the agenda? Commissioner Runberg.
I'm sorry, that's add. I meant to pull one. Go on.
Okay, yep, nope, not yet. All right. Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the agenda?
Commissioner Bernie Obershaw.
Yes.
Tenney.
Yes.
DeWitt.
Yes.
Runberg.
Yes.
Charlebois.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
7 yes.
All right, the agenda for this evening has been adopted. Next order of business calls for the consent agenda. Do any members of the commission wish to make a change to the consent agenda? This would be the time. Commissioner Runberg.
I'd like to pull item 4, the city manager recommending budget amendments in the amount of $0 for the fiscal year 24-25 budget.
Thank you. Commissioner DeWitt.
I have a few, actually. Number 8, regarding the traffic control on 25th between Broadway and Fitzhugh. Number 11, regarding Great Lakes hydro seeding for the cutting of weeds and tall grasses. Number 12, regarding the 3-year lease agreement for GM Financial and Burt Watson for a Chevy Silverado EV. Number 17, I just want to have that one for the U.S. Bankruptcy Court, Eastern Michigan. I want to have that one just on a vote. And then number 18 for the appointments to the Parks and Recreation Committee.
All right, all set? All right, Commissioner Tenney.
Not a lot left. I'd like to pull number 10, please. The city manager recommending land contracts with Mike Spencer for the unused city-owned vacant properties on High Street and South Mountain, please.
All right, Commissioner Bernie Obershaw. You're all set. I have the same one. Okay, thank you. Anybody else? All right. Next order of business calls for public input on the consent agenda. This is the opportunity for citizens to remove an item from the consent for consideration in the regular agenda. If anyone in the audience wishes to make a change, please come to the microphone, print your name on the registration sheet, state your name and address for the record, and the item you wish to have considered on the regular agenda. All right, see no one come forward. Is there a motion on the consent agenda? Commissioner Tenney.
Move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Morris.
Second.
All right, will the clerk please call the roll on the consent agenda?
Commissioner Tenney.
Yes.
DeWitt.
Yes.
Runberg.
Yes.
Charlebois.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Bernie Obershaw.
Yes.
7 yes.
All right, consent agenda has been approved. Next item calls for remarks of the mayor and the commission. Do the commissioners have comments? Commissioner Tenney.
Thank you to the chair. Just want to acknowledge that this Thursday we celebrate Juneteenth, which is effectively the end of slavery in our nation's history. There are a couple celebrations Thursday from 1 to 5 in Morley Plaza in Saginaw. There are going to be a bunch of vendors out. There's also a parade in Saginaw on Saturday. On Saturday at the Dream Center, the Bay City branch of the local the Bay City branch of the NAACP is having a celebration from noon until 8. Just would like to encourage people to pop out and celebrate. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Runberg.
Yeah, I'd just like to give a shout out to a fellow 7th Ward resident, a Mr. Nate Van Tifflin, who is of the Essexville Department of Public Safety, who was recently made captain, and I just want to congratulate him.
All right, thank you. Commissioner DeWitt.
Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is over the weekend, I saw police doing a manual speed check on South Winona down by Meats and More. I'm going to guess in reaction to the accident that happened down there earlier in the week. And I'm hoping they also did a similar check time on Broadway down by Fremont where we had another pretty bad accident down there from excessive speeds. The next one is on the corner of Broadway and Fremont. I have a resident who's asked about possible violations of a rental property. They did not ask for much more detail than that, just like they said that there was violations and everything on this rental property. I don't know if they're actually rental ones, if they're blight ones, or if they are actually filed. Is there anything else that we found from that from when I asked last week?
I'm sorry, what's the address? I look at quite a few rentals during the week.
It's facing Broadway. I cannot remember the exact number address. It's the 4-unit on the northeast corner.
Okay, I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't.
And then with Commissioner Hilliker's resigning official as of when we just passed the consent agenda, I'm hoping we can open up the application period for that as soon as possible for the same terms as the first ward. Thank you.
Set. Okay, Commissioner Coakley.
Just wanted to take a moment and thank the city for the Zoning 101 meeting that we had a little bit ago. Pretty informative. Did get a lot out of that. I did appreciate that. Also wanted to thank the city manager for helping us out with the situation on 9th Street where cars were diverting there from McKinley and speeding in that neighborhood and seem to have a little bit of control over it now. And lastly, just want to remind everybody that next weekend, St. Stan's Festival is on, and if you get a moment, stop down there, take the kids on the ride, or have a Polish dog. They're always good.
Thank you. Commissioner Bernie Overshaw.
Yes, I just want to know if I was going to get the application early so I could do my application early because I'm going on vacation for the elections for the First Ward Commissioner. Will I be able to do that? Because I'll be going on vacation. I'll be gone, so will I be able to do my scores then? Or how will that be able to be done? Because we were supposed to do that today. So.
Yep, that's up to the commission president, per se.
So will I be able to do that? Because I really based it around my vacation. So that's why today was a big day for me to have that done. So now, since, you decided the decision was made because there were more people that we were supposed to, do our score scale, to choose them today for the first ward. Will I be able to do my paperwork earlier? Because I'm going on vacation. The thing is that I made sure that I was not going to take my vacation at this time because we were supposed to choose the first ward commissioner today. But, things have changed all of a sudden, so you can't stop someone's vacation. I mean, I should be a part of it. I am a commissioner. Today was the day, and you can't just jump up and say, oh, we're going to change it tomorrow or the next day when it had already been planned for weeks. So, I'm just wondering, are you going to send that to me or how are we going to play this?
So I'll send you the information that I have, and you can give me your feedback of it. But without being present for the interviews, I don't quite feel it's appropriate to have your numbers official in it. So if you want to give me your feedback on them, or give us your feedback on them individually, so like you say, hey, these are the people that I prefer, and just let me know, and then I can factor that in. But with you not being at the interviews, I don't feel it's appropriate to those in the city that you would make a decision before the interview would happen. So you can do it based off of the resumes and the applications, but I don't want to give you an official vote if you're not there. And I know that that's not exactly completely fair because we did this. It's going to be a special meeting that we're doing for that. But I also want to be fair to those in the districts and those around the city that you would be making a vote without the full, and I don't feel that's quite appropriate, unfortunately.
I don't feel that it's appropriate that someone would want me to vote on them when I've already picked that person And to take that away from that person because someone says, hey, we don't want to stay until 1 o'clock in the morning and you're not worth her vote. We have been in this chamber and we have made decisions and we have sat here until 12 o'clock at night until we have made a decision and a person is worth it. Our city of Bay City patrons, they are worth us to sit here and make a decision to put a commissioner in a seat for them. It is not because we are too tired to make a decision. It is not because it's for us. It is for the city of Bay City and the people. We have sat here longer. We have stayed. We are paid for that. We are commissioned for that. And that is what we should do. It's worth it for the people. That's all I have to say. I've chosen the person that I want, and they're worth it. And I know they'll do a great job for the city of Bay City and the people, and I deserve to give my vote.
Yeah, just give me the information that you have for the person that you'd prefer, and I'll consider that in when we do the interviews. That way we have all the information forward here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Rundberg?
Is there any way where if Commissioner Bernie Obershaw attests to watching the recorded interviews that we might suspend final voting until she is present?
I would need guidance to make that decision because I don't know how that works with any sort of Open Meetings Act possible issues.
To suspend actual taking a vote until she watches the videos of the, I'm going to leave that up to the commission president who would kind of set some of the rules. I don't know if that's has been past practice that I'm aware of, but.
Although I appreciate the idea to be more inclusive, I don't know how we could do that without possibly running into issues of someone saying we're being overly favorative of one situation at this point, because it's a bit of a, we have the past practice of this, and we have to make the decision within a reasonable amount of time, and the more we delay it, we're already delaying it a week from what we had originally said, that we're going to keep, unfortunately, pushing this out, and it might change our judgment past the time. So I don't know if that's something we could really do without more research, and we don't really have the time for more research for that, unfortunately.
I appreciate the consideration all the same. Thank you.
Okay, I have several commissioners who want to talk. Commissioner Morris, Coakley, and then Bernie Obershaw.
In the effort of trying to assist, so Commissioner Bernie Obershaw is not left out of the decision-making. I know during COVID times we held meetings via Zoom. Could that be a potential answer to combat her not being able to be here physically, but be able to see and interact via Zoom for the interviews?
So during COVID, that was actually passed at the state level that we were allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that anymore. That was repealed. The only time you can do it is if you are serving in the military.
Well, I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Anything else, Commissioner? All right, Commissioner Coakley and then Bernie Obershaw.
I just want to echo Commissioner DeWitt on this. I feel bad for Commissioner Bernie Obershaw that she's not here. I know vacations are set, plans are changed, but we interview for a reason, to interact with the person. I'm totally not comfortable that somebody's already chosen just by applications. I mean, I've already had 3 or 4 of the people reach out to me, and I spoke with them a bit, and my mind's still not made up. So it's just, I do think you need to be here for that. I feel bad for her, because I know vacations are vacations, but just my 2 cents on that. There's a reason we interview. If we're not going to do the interviews or just make decisions without it, you know, what's next?
All right, thank you. Commissioner Bernie Obershaw?
Well, you know, it is what it is. I know that the commission will make a really good decision on this, and I trust them with their decision. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, in all honesty, part of the process we'll go through, I know we've been doing ranked choice selections on this. Just because somebody is the top on the ranked choice doesn't mean it has been past practice, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that person is put in that place. The commission can choose any of the candidates, even the individual that did get the top ranked choice. So, so there is that option if it was deemed that we want a different person. So Commissioner Bernie Obershaw.
I just have another thing to elaborate on. If there is an emergency situation, I am not sitting on this floor. I hope that you choose to stay here as long as it takes to take care of business for the people. Not to worry about if you got something to do for that day and you're rushing to get out. I just hope that you guys make the decision to stay 15 minutes, 5 minutes if it takes it for the people. That's all I'm worried about. But I know, like I said, you're gonna make the right decision. I trust you all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other commissioner? I did want to mention retired Bay City firefighter Brian Ducham passed away unexpectedly over the last week, and I meant to do an initial moment of silence for him, but my condolences goes out to his family and friends for his passing. And the other thing I do want to mention is the Bay City Fireworks Festival. They're posted on their Facebook page. They're looking for volunteers, always a great event that brings tens of thousands of people into the community. So if you know anybody or want to volunteer to be part of that, they're looking for volunteers. I think you can see an application through their website or Facebook page. So that's all I have. Remarks of the manager.
I just have a couple things. Commissioner Tenney already did discuss Juneteenth. Administrative offices are closed here at the city on Thursday as well. And then we've already touched on the interviews for next week. So we do have 11 candidates. We are starting at 5:30. With the time slots that we have done for all 11, it's going to take us till 8 o'clock. And then we can wrap it up around then after discussions. 15 minutes each, and all have been called. We haven't made contact with all of them. We've left messages for a few of them, and they've been calling back as the day has gone on. So once we make contact, then we'll get everything out. That packet should go out. I would hope. I'm looking at the deputy city clerk tomorrow because all the information is in there, so it's ready to go.
Good. That's all you have? All right, thank you very much. Next order of business calls for public input. Under the rules of the City Commission, each speaker will be allowed 5 minutes to speak. Commissioner Coakley will serve as the timekeeper. This is the opportunity for citizens to address the commission regarding any agenda item or any other matter. If anyone wishes to address the commission, please come forward, print your name on the registration sheet, and state your name and address for the record. We do allow or ask that speakers be respectful in addressing the mayor and commission. Reminder, public input is one-way communication. The mayor and commissioners cannot answer questions at this time. Please meet with them after the meeting if you need further information. So.
I need to wear my sunglasses, my goodness. Hi, my name is Denise Davidson. I live at 1218 Marsac Street. Thank you for the opportunity. Sorry, I can't see you guys. I'm blinded right now, but I wanted to speak on some resolutions that were on the agenda. I'm assuming this is the appropriate time to talk about those. The first one talked about a resolution expanding the scope and purpose of the Public Safety Committee. I would hope that this committee wouldn't be micromanaging the Public Safety Department. I thought that the information that was proposed when I briefly looked over the resolution, that a lot of that information might have been previously presented, but I wanted to make sure that, because I know the city manager, public safety department, they're always looking for ways to improve the services for the city of Bay City, and I know that they're more in tune with the finer workings of their department, so I just wanted to make sure that was not being done. The second resolution regarding the rules of commission ordinance removal of invocation. I know the invocation has been part of the order of the city commission meetings at least since the 1950s. I think to participate or not participate is the choice of the individual. Where does this fall in what the city needs to focus on in terms of priorities? A number of items come to mind about making sure our community is a welcoming community, meaning the thoroughfares are nicely taken care of, and making sure that properties in all the wards look nice, and participating in CDC meetings, helping our community be safer, a better place to live, and so forth. So I think the invocation needs to remain in the ordinance in its proper place, and that no change is needed. The resolution to move enforcement date for cutting lawns. I don't recall when the May 1st date was enacted. I'm guessing that it was probably part of that enforcement or ordinance for quite a while. Again, this is the other thing, thinking about the priorities of what the city needs to focus on. I think a higher priority is to enforce the ordinances that we have on the books. A lot of them, again, is encouraging people to take care of their properties, enforce, cutting their lawns, upkeep of their properties. I think the ordinance should stay that the way it is, no date changes needed. And I'm not sure if this is part of the commission, but if people are unable or can't for some reason take care of their properties, if there are programs or services, and if the commissioners, if they contact their commissioner, if they need assistance in that area, they might be able to point them in the right direction of services or anything that can help them with their properties. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
She wasn't kidding.
We do that on purpose.
I'm gonna scoot over a little bit. All right, Kayla Harper, 28th Street. I'm not really here to speak about the invocation, but I would like to say that this is a government for everyone, and our invocation is one religion. I do believe that a compromise could be made in the form of a moment of silence with non-religious terminology, and that would give everybody the opportunity that they want. But today, I'm here because our city has gotten an ugly lesson in what happens when our public infrastructure is privatized. And as we all know, that's a mess that we'll be cleaning up for years. Our city needs to do better with public infrastructure, which is why I would like to urge you today to begin seriously exploring the creation of municipal fiber internet utility in Bay City. This is a blueprint for long-term city revenue, economic resilience, and digital equality. Currently, households pay up to $120 a month to for-profit providers like Spectrum, often for inconsistent services with hidden fees and little accountability. The end of net neutrality laws a few years ago have resulted in significant speed tier pricing practices and speed throttling based on arbitrary priorities of a given ISP. When internet access is unaffordable, it's not just an inconvenience, it's a barrier to education, employment, healthcare, and basic participation in modern life. Our children can't even do their homework anymore without internet access at home. But we don't have to accept this as normal. As a public power city with Bay City Electric Light and Power already in place, we have a rare structural advantage. We own the poles, we have underground conduits, we have trained municipal crews and existing billing systems and customer service infrastructure. That means that we can move faster and deliver cheaper fiber internet than nearly any other municipality in America. Even more importantly, this is the perfect moment to act. Thanks to the Broadband Equity, Access, and Deployment Program, or BEAD, Michigan has received over $1.5 billion in federal funds for broadband expansion that's sitting in a state bank account ripe for the asking. This program was designed specifically to help local governments like ours cover up to 100% of broadband and infrastructure costs for municipalities, especially in underserved and low-income communities like ours. We also have $5 million sitting in the bank right now to cover any potential overages after grants, even though that's unlikely. If Bay City builds and owns its own fiber internet network, we don't just improve internet access. We create a permanent public revenue stream, and our city is desperate for more funds right now. Bay City has around 15,000 households. If just half of them subscribe to a $40 per month public fiber service, which is well below current prices, we'd bring in nearly $4 million a year. After subtracting operating costs, we're looking at a net surplus of approximately $2 million annually once the system is built and stabilized. Even at just a 25% adoption rate, we could generate close to $1 million in revenue a year. This doesn't even factor in how much the city could save by supplying its own internet to municipal buildings instead of outsourcing to a for-profit company. Imagine what we could do with $2 million a year. We could fund road repairs, we could expand affordable housing, and we could improve citywide infrastructure. And just as importantly, we would keep money circulating locally, which would generate additional revenue. Right now, Spectrum and other ISPs pull millions of dollars in profit out of our community each year, but under a municipal model, that money stays here and works for our local economy. And this idea isn't new, it's proven. Cities like Chattanooga, Tennessee, Traverse City, Michigan, and Ammon, Ohio have already done it. Chattanooga's EPB fiber has generated over $2.7 billion in economic impact. Ammon's residents pay as little as $20 a month. These cities didn't just improve access. Their data conclusively shows that they grew local economies, attracted more remote workers, and dramatically increased educational outcomes. With the right design, we could even offer tiered pricing, perhaps $10 or even free for those who are within poverty levels. This can be funded through digital equity grants that are already available. Every child in Bay City could have reliable internet at home. Every senior could access telehealth services, and every job seeker could fill out online applications from their kitchen table. We could even offer free services that would be unique to Bay City, such as free Wi-Fi in public parks and smart city technology. So I am asking you to direct the city manager to conduct fees.
Commissioner Runberg.
Move to provide the speaker 2 more minutes.
Commissioner Tenney.
Second.
Any objection? Speaker has 2 more minutes.
So I am asking you to direct the city manager to conduct a feasibility study using available planning grants and to put out a request for proposal, or RFP. The Michigan Telecommunications Act and Metro Act require that we put out an RFP before building our own network, but we can ask for the same pricing and speed options I've outlined and proceed if no for-profit companies can meet them, which none of them can. Let's look at our infrastructure, let's map out costs, and let's get in the line for funding through the BEAD program. We can determine how we'd operate it, what pricing tiers we'd offer, and how many local jobs we could create in the process. Because municipal internet is a smart financial decision that could redefine what Bay City is known for. And it's this kind of leadership that people remember for generations. Plus, wouldn't it be the sweetest poetic justice if we built publicly owned internet with cash from a company that stole our bridges? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Matt Hewitt. I live at 1435 Park Avenue. And I come before you tonight not just as a resident, but as a business owner, taxpayer, and an attorney in the area that's deeply invested in this community. I'm here to express my concerns regarding the city's treatment of its vendors, specifically in regards to the matters concerning Winona Park. Let me be clear, it is deeply troubling that respected local companies like Clements Electric, Bay Landscaping, are still awaiting payment for work performed in good faith 2 years ago. These are not anonymous contractors from out of state. These aren't people that are faceless or nameless. These are our neighbors, our employers, our fellow community members, and people who contribute and donate to this city. They hire locally, they spend locally, they support local issues. For instance, many of you may know that the Clements family donates countless hours every year to bring joy to the city and the lighting of the Christmas tree. Yet they're being treated as if they're not worthy of even the most basic acknowledgement, timely compensation for work already completed. Clements Electric is owed $170,000 since not a small oversight. It's a slap in the face. I saw a clip from a previous meeting here a couple of weeks ago. A commissioner asked the city manager about these unpaid bills, and the response, it made me come tonight, because the response was, they have to sue to get paid. They have to sue in order to be paid for the lights that are going to go on tonight in the park. Those lights come on. They were paid for by Clements. That's not just frustrating, that's fundamentally wrong. I work in the legal field. I understand litigation has a place. I make a living off of it, in fact. But this isn't one of those situations. These vendors are neighbors. They're not looking for a fight. They want to stay good neighbors. They want to keep doing business here. They're looking for a conversation. They've been asking the city for acknowledgement and to work on a collaborative solution, but what they get is silence. I come tonight as a resident, not as an attorney. I find this offensive because what does this signal to the broader world? It says Bay City doesn't pay its bills. It says if you do business with the city, build in a risk premium because you may not get paid for years. You may have to pay litigation. In fact, you may have to give the money back. And who pays that price? I do. We do. The residents, every taxpayer, every resident, every property owner. When a contractor has to raise their bids to protect themselves because the city doesn't pay its bills, it costs more. When contractors stop bidding on work in the city because they may be sued for $1 million, like Serenas Johnson was, what do we do then? What do we do then? Now, I recognize most of you are new to the commission. You're not responsible for how we got here. You're not responsible for the bridge issue, another bane of my existence. But you are responsible for what happens next. Let me remind you, and the reason I'm here tonight, you are the shot callers. You sitting here, not up there, all right? Not the city manager, not the attorneys. You hold the authority. You are elected to represent us. So I'm asking you respectfully, but urgently, please step into that role. Ask the hard questions, demand accountability, require transparency. Why are we refusing to pay our obligations? Why are we forcing litigation on our neighbors? These aren't out-of-towners. That shouldn't make a difference. But I mean, these are our neighbors. These are people who employ your neighbors, right? Why are we acting like this is acceptable? I want you to ask the hard questions. What are the long-term costs? Sure, maybe it'll get settled for pennies on the dollar. Yay, right? We only paid X percent. No, not yay. That cements the damage forever, I would argue. That is not a benefit to any of us. You can't be successful by screwing others out of what is owed to them. It's not too late to do the right thing. We don't need another black eye. We don't need another bridge-sized scandal to shake our faith in this city. What we need is leadership. And I'm looking at each of you and I'm asking you, please, you have the power to change the trajectory. You have the power to insist that Bay City honors its commitments, treats its partners with dignity, and send a message that this matters. We don't need to make this city great again. We just need to manage it with integrity. And I'll stop because I just realized I wrote something down here. Every one of us has a job, right? Every one of us goes to work, gets a paycheck, right? Let me ask you, if you went to work and your boss said to you 2 years later, you got to sue me to get paid, wouldn't you be mad? Wouldn't you be mad as hell? And I'm asking you,
Time.
callers.
Commissioner Rundberg.
Move to provide the speaker 2 more minutes.
Commissioner Tenney.
Second.
Speaker has 2 more minutes.
I'm asking you as the shot callers. You can't any longer sit and say, I didn't know. I am shocked. I'm here telling you tonight, you owe a bill. You owe bills. These are my, right? I live in this city. So this affects my house, my family, my home. I love this city. I really do. I moved into the city on purpose. I say that jokingly, but I mean it. I moved into the city on purpose, and I love it. Please don't make me move out. Please don't make me leave, all right? I don't want to have to vote with my feet. But I ask you, have the conversation, please. And that's all.
Thank you. Anybody else like to come forward for comment?
Hello again. Paul Kleinhaus, 1713 10th Street. I initially had planned to come and talk infrastructure, but I'll kind of roam a little bit. I went to the Zoning 101 meeting last week and just wanted to state for those who weren't there, I was hopeful with what I saw. I talked to the consultant quite a bit that the city had hired, and just based on their work in prior cities and kind of the possibilities they brought up, they seem to know what they're doing, so I'm hoping that goes well. What I encourage the commission to do here, and also the planning commission as well, if they're listening, is be open to changes. Next year, there will be a full rework of the zoning code for the first time since I think it was 2002. So we're obviously out of date there. But as we're seeing across a lot of America, there are a lot of cities that are not very well planned. And we have a downtown, which a lot of cities don't have. And we can do more to develop that. We can do more to infill and use our land better. So some creativity there, I think, could go a long ways. But I also worry that if we wait for that to be done, that could be 2-3 years before any sort of new development can start happening. So I do urge the commission to do something still this year, if possible, on things we've talked about, such as housing. Last winter, there was talk about how there's a need for that and what could we do on that front. Commissioner Bernie Obishaw brought up a tenants' rights bill that did not pass, but there's things in there that are great that we could still do something on. So I still think we should do something this year, maybe even this summer, to make progress on those. As for the invocation, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. As we know, constitutionally, no real preference for a specific religion can be said, and I'm not really interested as a citizen watching the city try to hunt around to each, specific denomination of Christian to make sure they all get a chance, or even non-Christians, or I don't know how you do something for a agnostic or atheist, what you can do to invocate for that, other than some sort of generic humanist statement. I think just an open moment of silence for anyone's spirituality, whatever that may be, is totally fine. Removing it is simple, but I don't think this is a big investment either way. It's probably just, we're gonna vote and move on regardless. So that's just my piece there. And I wrote a little note at the end here regarding the speaker about municipal internet. I just wanted to say I used to live in Southeast Michigan and have to deal with DTE, and how much better and cheaper our power utility is here for being public. So I think that's a good idea, especially knowing around the nation more cities have tried that, and especially with the bridges all hot on our mind about, what if we're not doing things ourselves? I would prefer we do things ourselves when we can, when it's good and efficient, and I think that would be a great example. But those are all my notes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Matt Kowalski. My address is 615 Nurmi Court, Bay City. Speaking as the previous speaker said something about the zoning, if we can pass something that would be as simple as possible and progress the city and not make it cumbersome, that would be ideal. The other speaker that spoke about the internet was great, mentioned Traverse City. They're very consistent. I'm also a real estate developer, broker, been in town for 20 plus years as a broker. I participate in other businesses in the city. I'm an employer of the city as well. And to make life easier on the developers and the people that are investing in the city, and part of that ease is consistency. No matter if you're gonna make it hard, just make sure they know exactly what they have to do, and there's no more conditions after they've met their first set of conditions. That is the most frustrating thing I've run into with out-of-town investors is, well, why weren't we made aware of this in the beginning? So if we're gonna do an overview, please make it concise and very, transparent to where they know exactly what they have to do, they know when it's expected, and make that an ease of use. And if you want to work on the housing issue in Bay City, it has to be a tenant-landlord act. It can't just be one-sided. Because if you saw what happened during COVID, the landlords took a beating, and a lot of the good ones left. So if you want to look at if you want good housing, if you want good landlords, you have to protect them as well as you do the tenant. Because it goes both ways. There's great tenants, there's bad tenants. There's great landlords, there's bad landlords. And you have to have a good mix. So please keep that in mind too. Don't make it one-sided because it's not all, landlords aren't all bad. There's great ones and there's horrible ones. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to come forward for public input?
Bruce Eckhart, 810 Germania. I don't know if you noticed this weekend, all over the United States, we had all kinds of protests. Does anybody know about Act Blue, what they do? Act Blue? Well, that's why I'm disturbed to hear today, because I haven't been here a while, and I come in here, I see the great American flag that my son died for, my 3 brothers died for that. And I watch these demonstrations. This Code Act Blue these are a bunch of different organizations trying to overtake our country. They throw rocks, you saw them out there. They fly the flags, PLO, they do all this. They got the gay flag, all this. Then they come here and I see a flag there, which irritates me. If it's outside, I don't care about it. Next thing, we're going to have probably Black Lives Matter, PLO, all this in here. I'm getting sick of this now. Let's get back to basics. One nation under God, please. These guys don't like my country. They go somewhere else. They weren't in here for this one. They come in here, I'm going to do transparency. That's what I'm going to do. What the hell? You did transparency. You did your little 1%, covering your own little percent group. That's all you're doing. That's why you're on with the Act Blue. That's what they're doing. Little groups here, and they cover them. They all come together. So let's get back and find out what happened, especially my commissioner. I don't know how long he's going to last, because I've had people want to get petitions against what you guys are doing. They don't like it, so wake up. What happened? I know you don't want to ask your mayor. I asked you way back, what happened to that $800,000 that everybody forgot? What happened to it? Next thing, then you commissioners, you're disgusting, man. Some of you weren't here when they passed the bill, $100,000 for 3 years to Bay County Futures. The hell with them. There's another side. They're just extra play. You don't need them. Take that money, put it back in the city, different awards. Why haven't you did that? Why you sit back here, huh? I'd rather fly my flag. I do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to come forward for public input? All right, seeing no one come forward, the next order of business calls for public hearing. This is the opportunity for citizens to address the commission regarding 2 public hearings. Public hearing 1 is millage rates and city budget for fiscal year 25-26 in the total amount of $177,462,213. And then public hearing 2 is ordinance amendment to the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, Commission, Section 2-26, Commission of Rules of Commission regarding removal of invocation and moving public input. I'd take a motion on 1 and 2. Commissioner Tenney?
Move to allow for public hearings 1 and 2.
All right. Commissioner Renberg?
Second.
All right, so if anybody would like to come forward for public hearing number 1 regarding the millage rates and city budget, please come forward. Seeing no one come forward, public hearing number 2 regarding amendment to Code and Ordinances regarding the removal of the invocation and moving of public input. Okay, seeing no one come forward. We're into special orders. Will the clerk read the next item on the agenda?
Special Order Item 1, Commission as a Whole Resolution approving the millage rates and city budget for fiscal year 2025-2026 in the total amount of $177,462,213.
Is there a motion? Commissioner DeWitt.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Commissioner Tenney.
Second.
Any discussion? Commissioner DeWitt.
I do want to note that first time on this side of the table doing this, I do want to thank Mr. Martini for answering my over 100 questions I asked him through the session. I have a couple suggestions for not this one, for to help commissioners who may not be financially astute in understanding some of the accounts and how they fade off. Because every year, I know I asked the one question about some of the accounts every year, because I only do this for one time a year, and the accounts don't match in government versus private accounting. So just a couple of small things to make it better going forward. But overall, he did answer my questions, and the nitpicks I had were ones that were not anything that was detrimental at this point.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, will the clerk please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Commissioner DeWitt.
Yes.
Runberg.
Yes.
Charlebois.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Bernie Obershaw.
Yes.
Tenney.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion's been adopted. Will the clerk please read the next item on the agenda?
Special Orders Item 2, Commissioner DeWitt's Ordinance Amendment to the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, Commission, Section 2-26, Rules of Commission regarding removal of invocation and moving public input.
Is there a motion? Commissioner DeWitt.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Commissioner Runberg.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Coakley.
Once again, I'm standing on not in favor of removing the invocation at the beginning. Can we tweak it? Yes, but to completely take it out, I am not in agreement with. I will not vote in favor of. Our money still says in God we trust. It is written that it's supposed to be, it can be rotating if wanting in the original resolution. It's a moment you can partake or choose not to. It's up to you. Removing it eliminates it completely, and if you did want to partake, it's not there for you. And once again, I ask, what's next? Is it, St. Patrick's Day, 4th of July, the Pledge of Allegiance, lighting of the Christmas tree? It just seems like it's a waste of what we're doing, and the hundreds of constituents that did reach out to me. I did hear you, and I'm going to stay unresolved on this.
All right. All set, Commissioner?
Yes.
Commissioner Bernie Overshaw.
I'm going to say it again. I don't care what any of you do. I am going to honor my Lord Jesus and Savior. I am going to heaven. And if you don't believe in God, that's on y'all. I'm going to heaven. So I'm going to praise the Lord, and I am going to say the Lord's Prayer every day of my life. That's on y'all. Do what you want to do. I am not even going to vote on it. I am going to abstain at this point.
All right. All set, Commissioner?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Commissioner Runberg.
I'd like to remind everyone the 2020 census results for Bay County, unfortunately, they didn't go as atomic as Bay City specifically, but we can kind of contrast what the county results were. 62.4% of Bay County residents identify as non-religious. Of those remaining percentage that do identify as religious, 1 in 5, or 20% of those identified as Catholic. And I think it would be a detriment to our Protestant constituency should we go for an overtly Catholic prayer, which, if we're going to be logically consistent with the application of the invocation, based on the arguments that have been raised for why we should have it, I think that we should go for an overtly Catholic prayer. And to avoid this particular debate, to avoid trying to come up with every possible denomination or persuasion of belief or non-belief, I think it's incumbent upon us to do right by the citizenry and to abolish the invocation folks have plenty of time prior to the meeting to get their heads straight. They can pray, they can meditate, they can think about their taxes or what they're going to cook for dinner. But at the end of the day, it's not representative of what the constituency believes. And it's not fair to my constituents that I remain silent during the invocation, where some may believe I am partaking within the invocation. Others may think I'm just thinking about how my fastest route to getting home avoiding the bridges is going to be. So I am fully in support of removing the invocation. If it comes down to it and we can't pass with the members needed to remove the invocation, I would be open to an amendment to allow for a moment of silence prior to the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Coakley.
You're telling me that you saw 62% of Bay City is not religious?
Bay County.
Bay County. Not religious or do not belong to a religious affiliation or go to church?
The census through the city manager says it's non-religious.
Non-religious. You're saying...
We don't have a back and forth in this.
I know. I'm going to look at it. That's not knowing your city. That's all.
Okay. Any other comments? Commissioner DeWitt?
Okay, first I want to state that there are two parts of this. The second one is far more impactful for our operation as the commission. It puts public input before the commission comments, so help give us an opportunity to possibly somewhat reply to what is said at the podium that just happened here. And I do also want to say, second, that both of these changes that are on this were suggested to me by somebody else within this chamber, and I only accepted ones that were also suggested by another member. There are others that I would be okay with changing, but these are the two that were suggested by others in this chamber, and so these are the two that came forward. Third, I want to make note that the fact that so many people offended by this change to be more inclusive is a major problem we as a city have to look at. We're excluding our fellow neighbors with the attitudes we have here. Fourth, this will not affect how this body determines cultural holiday permits, celebrations, or collaborations. Suggesting this will change any of those things is just nonsense. This is about aligning this body with the others within the city of Bay City and being as inclusive as possible without adding to our workload. Fifth, as far as history is concerned, I want to note that in 1796, President John Adams signed a document called the Treaty of Tripoli that stated in its English version that the government of the United States is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion. This was signed both by him and all members of Congress at the time. 1796, for those in the room, was 159 years before 1955 when the invocation started here. Sixth, I want to note that if anyone here wants to have a prayer on this floor or in the hallway before the gavel, we will not infringe on your right to do so. You are completely allowed to do that. But once that gavel sounds, as usual, it should be time to get to work. Seventh, when a majority is afraid of equality, it is a view of privilege. A former pastor that I know, his name is Durante Lamar, has a quote that is pertinent here. People who struggle with diversity also struggle with difficulty. Finally, passing this not only shows that Bay City can actually be inclusive to our diverse citizenry in our religious views or lack thereof, but it will also help improve accountability for this body from the public, which is something that I have been working on trying to get changed for almost a decade. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Commissioner Bernie Overshaw.
You know, I really have to say this. I really believe I would not have been here if it had not been for the Lord. And if you want to say, people that say that they are atheists, that's on you. If you don't want to pray, that's on you. But the people that really, it really gets me is that are atheists. You say you don't believe in God, but yet and still you believe in him because you don't believe in him. You say you don't, but you must believe in him because you say you don't believe in him. So it is possible to you. But to me, I'm not Baptist, I'm not Catholic, I'm not any of that. All I know is that somebody helped me to get here. Somebody is keeping me alive. Some higher power has got me where I am through drugs, through happiness, through sadness, but I'm still sitting here and somebody got me here. So I feel if you don't want to believe that somebody brought you here or somebody brought you through all the madness, that's on you. But as for me and my house is going to praise the Lord. I'm okay with what you do. I know what I am going to do and what's best for me mentally. I believe in the Lord Savior. He brought me here and brought me this far. That's all I have to say. So you guys believe in who you want to believe in. But obviously you must believe in him because you say you don't. So you have a glimmer that he is real.
All set, Commissioner?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you,
And
Commissioner.
bless you for letting me talk.
No problem.
Let me preach today. Thank you. I got my brownie points tonight. I'm getting a blessing tomorrow.
All right, Commissioner Tenney.
Call the question, please.
All right, question's been called, so take a roll call vote on the special order.
This is on the, to approve the ordinance. Commissioner Runberg.
Yes.
Charlebois.
Yes.
Oh.
Morris.
No.
Coakley.
No.
Bernie Obershaw.
I abstain.
Tenney.
Yes.
And DeWitt.
Yes.
4 yes, 2 no.
So it fails for lack of support. So we move on to next item of business. Regular agenda items. Will the clerk please read the next item of business?
From consent, item 4, city manager recommending budget amendments in the amount of $0 for the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget.
Is there a motion, Commissioner Runberg?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Commissioner Tenney.
Second.
Discussion, Commissioner Runberg.
Yeah, I just wanted to take the moment to thank our city manager. I mean, granted, this is the first time I've gone through a budget cycle within the city, but based on my previous experiences with other entities, private sector, so forth, $0 to have to amend the budget for the year is commendable, and thank you.
All set, Commissioner Coakley?
I would like to echo that statement and also include the staff for all they did with that too. My first one being on this side of it, and it was eye-opening, and all the work you guys do put into it is appreciated.
Any other comments? All right. So will the clerk please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Commissioner Charlebois.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Bernie Obershaw.
Yes.
Tenney.
Yes.
DeWitt.
Yes.
Runberg.
Yes.
7 yes.
All right, motion's approved. Next, will the clerk please read the next item of business?
Consent item 8, city manager recommending traffic control order number 2025-07 to prohibit parking on 25th Street between Broadway Avenue and Fitzhugh Street.
Is there a motion, Commissioner DeWitt?
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Commissioner Runberg?
Second.
Discussion, Commissioner DeWitt.
Through the city manager. This, the traffic control orders, this was the one that's closest to me in a couple ways. Was there any response to the residents along 25th? I know there's not a ton of them on 25th because they mostly face the other direction, but was there any response to any send-outs about the parking restrictions?
I'm looking at Rachel. I don't know if she got anything back. You got to come up here.
It was requested by a resident, no one else has said anything. And it is just on the south side. I think it's missing a word in the...
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions while we have the city engineer up here? Okay, any other discussion in general? Is that Commissioner Cole, did you raise your hand or are you just adjusting your glasses? Okay, this isn't an auction, but you know. All right, so will the clerk please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Commissioner Morris.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Bernie Obershaw.
Yes.
Tenney.
Yes.
DeWitt.
Yes.
Runberg.
Yes.
Charlebois.
Yes.
7 yes.
All right, motion is adopted. Will the clerk please read the next item of business?
From consent item 10, city manager recommending land contracts with Mike Spencer for the unused city-owned vacant properties located at 308 High Street, 1805 South Mountain, 201 East North Union, and 220 South Sherman in the amount of $200 each to build single-family homes.
Is there a motion, Commissioner Tenney?
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Commissioner Runberg.
Second.
Discussion, Commissioner DeWitt.
So I looked into this one too. All of these properties for $200, that is nowhere close to the GIS listed value for these properties online. And from what I recall being told previously is that when city has to sell property, it's supposed to be at a market or as close to a reasonable market rate as possible. The value of High Street is $5,100, Mountain $3,876, North Union $2,926, and South Sherman $3,400. And then on the private market, there's a lot, one block off from the Sherman one, that's a little bit larger, but is on sale for $10 in the private market. So what was the justification to get us to $200 a piece?
So our policy states a starting bid on these, and I can have Sarah come up here and talk about this, because we've owned these for so long, right? We've never had anybody else bid on them, so she can walk you through that process of our maintenance costs that we have on these, which every year cutting that grass, lack of taxes, we're not getting any taxes from these pieces of property, so obviously the idea is for someone to build it, and then we get tax revenue off of these, and this is a lot of lots that this person's gonna build on. Go ahead, Sarah.
Pretty much, yes, everything she just said, and our policy is any lot that's 50 by 100 or 6,000 square feet or less, $200 is minimum bid, but we also weigh, as City Manager Muscat said, we weigh what the end value is, and the end value here is a single-family home that's taxable value. We no longer have to mow, all of the things. So that's kind of how we go through and make sure that we value that, or we accept an offer based on most of those things. But in a nutshell, the $200 is from our policy.
Okay, I just wanted that clarification because it didn't match anything I could find on those properties otherwise, so thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Bernie Overshaw.
I would like to, the thing is when we sell properties, it's like we never meet these people. And I would like to meet Mr. Mike Spencer, and I'd like to ask him and talk to him personally to let us know what really his intentions are, what he is going to do with these properties. And also, I would like to know, is he from the city of Bay City?
So in the recommendation and in the packet, I include his application to purchase the property, and on that application, it states what he wants to do, which what he is going to do is build single-family homes on each of the lots. I think they're just under 1,200 square feet. So that's his intention with the property.
Okay, is he an LLC, and is he from the city of Bay City?
I mean, his address is in Reese, but, I mean, he's investing in our community, so.
Are these low-income housing that he's building?
No, they are not. They are market rate houses.
Okay.
And this is Mr. Spencer, if you, I don't know if
Okay.
that's allowed.
You would have to suspend the rules in order to, so is it, for him to speak, yes. So is there a motion, Commissioner Runberg?
I move to suspend the rules, allow Mr. Spencer to speak.
All right, Commissioner Morris, you second?
Second.
Is there any objection to suspending the rules to allow for the speaker? Okay, so the rules have been suspended. Feel free to, if you want to comment on the project.
Sure. I am an LLC. I am from Reese. Been around Bay City all my life. These are a basic starter home, 3-bed, 1-bath, kitchen, open area. Reasonably priced. Under $200,000 is what they're going to sell for. Pretty much anybody can qualify for it. I've did the research on them, had reverse appraisals done for the loan value and everything on it. It all comes out good. And I've heard it 3 times while I've been sitting here tonight. Bay City is in need of housing. There's nobody building new houses in the city of Bay City. Opportunity, I've got where the idea came from, sorry. I have colleagues of mine that have built, I think they're on 21 and 22 of these exact units in the city of Lansing, and they can't even get them done before they're sold.
And you're purchasing from our Economic Development Department, this property for $200 in each property?
Yes.
And the homes that will sit on that property are going to be $200,000
Under.
under?
Under.
And
Listing price is gonna be probably 180, 175 to 180 is what the listing price will be for them.
I have one more question. Are these, because we're, the city of Bay City, we really need a lot of affordable living, we're low-income living homes. I have one more question for you. Will these be low-income residents? Well, residencies. Will they be low-income residencies, or would we call these affordable living?
Their market rate, I would call them affordable living because you're not gonna find anything else out there at that price point. There
Okay.
is numerous programs available for first-time buyers, for grants. Talked to a couple mortgage companies. So it's,
Okay. Being that you're an LLC, are you affiliated with any of our other? Okay, thank you very much.
I'll say, yeah, there's quite a few questions that people have. Commissioner Charlebois, I think, was next with a few questions.
I had a question for you. Can you, off the top of your head, do you know how long these properties been sitting?
Off the top of my head, 10 years plus.
Thank you.
All right, I'll say, Commissioner Runberg, you had a question?
Yeah, most of it, I think I've been able to infer my answer. But first off, I mean, sub 200,000 is pretty great for new construction because I just paid 150,000 almost for a 153-year-old house in the city limits. So I almost wish I would have held off. But just to clarify, none of these are going to be rentals. They're all going to be for sale in the market, correct?
they're all gonna be for sale.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Commissioner Coakley?
A lot of my questions are answered. First thing for you, once the bids are done, is there a way to deny them? I'm not saying that's what we're gonna do here, but once we put it out for bid, it's final, right?
There's no,
Yes.
Well, it wouldn't say bid, but basically, he came to us and asked to request to purchase these properties. So we go through our whole process, and then, we sit down with the city manager and staff and kind of go through and decide, okay, yes, we're going to present this to the commission for approval. So there were no bids.
Okay, I thought I heard bid. I apologize on that. And for you, thank you for investing in the community. Go Rockets. I mean, yeah, the price point sounds good. You're building to sell. I'm sure you're not building to lose money. But no, you're a businessman. I understand that, and new housing, affordable housing is something that I am for. So thank you.
all right, did everybody get a chance to, Commissioner Tenney?
Thank you to the chair. I pulled this because, like others, I was wondering why so low. I understand the process now, so thank you for that. For Mr. Spencer, why Bay City?
I'm here a lot. Bay City needs housing. I've had I don't know if you call it a privilege of working on numerous rental properties in the last few years in this town, and I've talked to building codes about it, and I think I've said it to Sarah, is Bay City's gonna hit the national news sooner or later sometime for a family of 4 passing away in a fire or something in these houses there is for rentals in the city. And I know you can't address everything all at once, but I would never let my children live in what a lot of these houses are. And as you said, you pay $185,000 for something that you got to go in and put another $30,000, $40,000 into it to get it fixed up. See, it's livable. And these are, it's just there's a need in the city and nobody's did it. I don't know when the last time any of the HUD houses or anything that were built in the city where I can remember, maintenance on them, being out to bid, public bid and stuff on them, but it's been forever. These are working in Lansing. They have requests from other municipalities over there to come and see them, and I mean, as soon as we get them up and get them going, you guys are all, if you want to organize something and come walk through them, please, feel free to do it. Hopefully there'll be more than just these 4. But I would never let my children live in what a lot of these houses are. And these are, it's just there's a need in the city and nobody's did it. I don't know when the last time any of the HUD houses or anything that were built in the city where I can remember, maintenance on them, being out to bid, public bid and stuff on them, but it's been forever. These are working in Lansing. They have requests from other municipalities over there to come and see them, and I mean, as soon as we get them up and get them going, you guys are all, if you want to organize something and come walk through them, please, feel free to do it. Hopefully there'll be more than just these 4.
Okay, I appreciate that a lot. You're absolutely correct that there's a need for it. So the goal for us would to be kind and welcoming towards folks like you, right? And I heard you say that you want to build quality housing in one way, shape, or form. You said something about safety, and you said something reasonably priced. So I'm all set, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. Commissioner Morris.
Through the chair to the city manager, I have a question about the dollar amount, because it sounds like Mr. Spencer offered the dollar amount, and then we just brought it back here. Was there any negotiation on the dollar amount, or how did that part work? Because it seems like $200 a piece is fairly cheap. I feel like we could have let these go for like $1,000, maybe even $2,000 a piece at the minimum.
Yeah, we typically
For what
don't-
he's doing.
Yeah, we typically don't have negotiation. It just depends on if there's other bids that come in too. I mean, Sarah will have conversations with both people if there's two different people bidding on a piece of property. And I understand what you're saying, but I also see our list of pieces of property that have sat for so many years, and our cost and the lack of taxes coming into the community because it's sitting vacant. That $200 investment he's making in that lot, it pays for itself over and over and over for the city.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just going to mention that I don't know the last time a new home other than a Habitat home, so very, very few homes, new stick-built homes have been built over the years here in the city. So to have somebody make this kind of investment that will get a return back over time with those property taxes. So thank you for looking to make the investment. We do know that there's such a need for these kind of properties to be built. So hopefully, as you said, there's more to come. We'd love to see it here. So thank you very much. Oh, Commissioner Coakley?
Just to clarify, right now, we're not collecting any taxes on these properties, right?
No, and something else just came to mind sitting here too. It's also utility usage, so we're gonna start getting revenue on utilities this
So
year,
10 years of no taxes coming in on that?
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have to make a motion to go back in regular order? So I'll take a motion to go back into regular business. Commissioner DeWitt?
Motion to return to regular order of business.
Commissioner Coakley?
Second.
All right, any objection? All right, we are now back in the regular order business. Would the clerk please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Commissioner Coakley.
Yes.
Bernie Obershaw.
Yes.
Tenney.
Yes.
DeWitt.
Yes.
Runberg.
Yes.
Charlebois.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
7 yes.
Will the clerk please, the motion's been adopted. Will the clerk please read the next item of business?
Consent item 11, city manager recommending contract with Great Lakes Hydro Seeding and Landscaping, Inc., Bay City, for cutting weeds and tall grass based on their unit pricing for the code enforcement department.
Is there a motion? Commissioner DeWitt?
Move to approve.
Commissioner Runberg, is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner DeWitt?
So because the bids came in with different units of measure on the back end on the bid list, going forward, is there a way we could get a calculation for the equal size dump fees? So like what is, like some of them have flat dump fees, some of them have a per yard dump fee. So like when we have alternate measures, can we get on the bid sheet something that shows the an equal measure between the multiple measurements if possible?
I guess, so I understand, because the dump fee it's per yard. So what are you looking for us to do different?
The other ones had just a flat fee. There wasn't a per yard. It was just like per dump.
Oh.
So like,
Well, I can tell you, we can't, it's up to them how they want to submit their bids. And we look at that because they can figure out too, per yard, right, and what we're dumping on each yard to see if it's a smaller bid than the person that's doing the full amount. I see what you're saying, but it's kind of up to them on how they're going to submit their bid to us. I mean, we could say they could, but then you're going to get, some people just won't bid it that way. It's probably better for us to have all the bids to look at.
okay, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Bernie Obershaw.
It's just, okay, I'll ask the question. Are we just getting the seed from them, or we're having them come in and we're contracting out with them to?
Yeah, this is for when we get complaints for long grass and people don't cut their yards. This is what this is for. So it's the cutting services.
Okay, what I'm wondering, could we hire some of these kids to come in, like a summer program, and, could we hire some young people for a summer program for them to come in and do this? Or summer help?
I would think that there would be a really large liability to have that done. These lots, I will tell you, when they are overgrown, there are things that are hidden in these grasses, and the damage to the equipment takes place a lot. And we would have to supply the equipment if we had volunteers come in. So economically, it wouldn't work out, and I don't think they'd have the insurance to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Coakley.
Just a comment. I'm glad to see that it's a Bay City company getting the bid. Like to see more of that with the money staying in town. We give them the bid, they shop here, they eat here, they play here, so I'm all for it.
All right. Anything else? Commissioner Runberg.
Yeah, just a quick comment. I wanted to thank, again, the city manager for responding to what I guess the complaint was already in there for a property near my house. There's a real big tick problem going on in mid-Michigan right now, and they love to tend to tall grass, so I'm glad we're being proactive on it. Some of the grasses I've seen in the 7th Ward were well over a foot tall, so thank you for getting that accomplished and taking care of those properties.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, will the clerk please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Commissioner Bernie Oboshaw.
Yes.
Tenney.
Yes.
DeWitt.
Yes.
Runberg.
Yes.
Charlebois.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion's been adopted. Will the clerk read the next item of business?
Consent item 12, city manager recommending ratification of a 3-year lease agreement with GM Financial Burt Watson Chevrolet for a 2025 Chevrolet Silverado EV in the amount not to exceed $15,000 per year, and authorize the electric director to execute all related documents.
Is there a motion? Commissioner Tenney.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Commissioner Copeland.
Second.
Discussion, Commissioner DeWitt.
Okay, so I looked through the lease documents that were in the packet. It's only a 10,000 mile a year lease. I understand it's likely going to stay in the city for the most part, but do we know what our average yearly miles are on the vehicle what this would be taking the place of?
I'm going to let Adam come up, because this is going to be for a whole different use, and it stays within the city anyways. We're not taking this outside the city.
Yeah, so like the city manager had mentioned, this is completely different. It's not going to be an everyday crew vehicle. It's going to primarily be used as an administrative vehicle. It'll be used for running back and forth to City Hall. I go to Lansing once a month. It'll be something that we can test on the expressway, see what it goes, what kind of miles we're going to get, what our customers are experiencing when they leave, or travelers that are passing through our community, for the potential charging units. We've taken those into calculations, and we agreed, after doing it multiple different ways, that 10,000 per year would be sufficient for what we're looking. We're not looking to drive it into the ground. We're simply looking to use it as an educational for internal operations on how the charging works, what our customers have to go through, what we need to take into consideration when we build our grid around these, as well as what the profile looks like when they're actually being charged on our system. So we're using it more as an educational piece internally than an actual vehicle that we're going to drive around. But we wanted something that we could use, in a storm situation. If we needed to run parts out, we can throw a transformer in the back and we can take it to crews and stuff in the field. But that won't be its primary purpose.
Okay, I just know that most people who say, yeah, I can only get away with 10,000 a year end up having to pay 40,000 miles of overages, and they get so far underwater. I want to make sure we did our due diligence there. The other one is, I guess, be more hypothetical based off of what the question is this doesn't adjust our insurance rates too much, because EVs do have a higher insurable rate than gasolines.
It does not.
Okay, I figured that was
We've already gotten the insurance on it, so no, it doesn't.
Okay, just wanted to check that. That's all I had.
All right, Commissioner Runberg.
Just kind of a curiosity satisfying question. Does the city have any property that has any EV chargers on it currently?
So a very long time ago, we did invest in a couple level 1 chargers. They don't get used very often. That was really when EVs first started to come in. As you know, level 1s are extremely slow to charge. Level 2s a little bit more popular, or any of the other ones that you're going to see out at like Myers and stuff like that. We have made the conscious choice at this point to not necessarily dive into that until we know where that trend's going to go and what it's going to look like. We don't want to pay a significant amount of money for the infrastructure until, you know, a base charging standard has come and adoption's a little bit more prevalent. It's more meant for what our residents are and, you know, how they're going to charge them, you know, currently.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Anybody else? Commissioner Morris.
Where is the charger going to be, the charger that is purchased or that you purchased with the lease, where's that going to be installed?
So that is currently, so we have a building, a pole barn that's behind our building right now. The only thing that is in that building that is typically on would be lighting. We purposely did that so that we could throw a meter on it and that we could look at the profile of actually what it looks like charging. We didn't want, you know, motors running, you know, fans, ACs and stuff like that. We wanted a clean profile, you know, as the vehicle was charging that we could analyze.
Are you replacing a vehicle with this vehicle at all?
There is no currently vehicle for it. I usually drive my personal vehicle when I go to things like that, so it would be something that I would use, you know, intermittently with my personal vehicle.
So this vehicle is going to be specifically used by you, or is it going to be used by multiple people?
Because this is, because it is a lease, you know, as Commissioner DeWitt had pointed out about going over the miles, damages that could potentially be to it, it'll primarily be me. There will be other administrative staff that will use it as well, but it will be limited. It's not going to be a crew vehicle. We don't want to run into the issue when we go to turn it in that it's over miles or that there's damage to the vehicle.
And we chose a Silverado EV because you might have to use it for heavy-duty use, because the average person is not driving a Silverado EV. They're driving a Blazer Equinox EV, and I see that you're trying to see what the average constituent goes through with EVs.
Yeah, so I mean, the charging patterns are going to be, you know, fairly similar. I mean, obviously, there's a different battery capacity and everything with it. But the goal here was to have a vehicle that we could use in a multitude of situations. Getting a Blazer, getting something like that, you know, the size of equipment that we do haul to job sites. And typically when there's an outage, I'm usually the one that's out there with the guys, and especially in the middle of the night. I'd rather them stay on the job site working. If I've got to run back, I'd rather get something and be able to put it in the vehicle that I'm driving at the time.
What are you hoping to accomplish after the lease is done?
So our hope is, you know, it is a 3-year lease, just to get more information so that we can better understand and plan. Right now, EVs, we've done a survey a couple years back. EVs are not extremely popular within our service territory, but we're starting to see that uptick. So we feel that there's going to be a surge at some point. You're seeing in the market and stuff, you're seeing, you know, the big players, General Motors and Ford and stuff like that, not necessarily Ford, but General Motors kind of saying, okay, maybe we'll take a step back just until adoption starts to pick up a little bit more frequently. But we didn't want to wait and then all of a sudden find out, okay, the adoption's here and we're behind the 8 ball when it comes down to figuring out what we need to do.
Through the chair to the city manager, I'm not going to say no to this. But if, let's say, the commission were to say no to this, what would happen?
Well, so this is a ratification, because they had to make this purchase because the price was going up, if I remember right, correct?
Right. We were informed that there was some pressure related to EVs when it came down to supply chain, as well as tariff potential issues that could creep up.
So, but if we said no to this still, what would happen, is what I'm asking.
We would have the obligation of the lease, so you would have to break the lease, and I'm sure you know what happens when you break leases as well as costs that come with that. I don't...
You know, I mean, I'm one of those that lease as well. I lease on a regular basis, so I'm very familiar with the process. Again, if we went, I mean, obviously we would have a conversation. to see, what our steps would be, but that is correct. I mean, there is a potential that, we would have to pay the term of the lease. I'm not exactly sure on all of the ins and the outs on that side. I've never had to break a lease.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Runberg.
Just two things. One, so we already signed a lease with them, is that right? We're just ratifying this?
That is correct, yes, sir.
Okay, I'm just curious as to how we made that type of decision before, if it was going to be something worthy to bringing before the commission, why a lease was signed in the first place. It kind of ties our hands considering the penalties for violating a lease or getting out of it early.
Yeah, so to clarify that, so the way that the vehicle works, over the 3-year terms, it doesn't reach $50,000. Our purchasing policy that is currently in place is that anything under the $50,000 doesn't necessarily have to be brought forth to the City Commission.
Right.
There is one piece of paperwork that General Motors had requested us to submit to them that basically came through the city attorney, just stating that the city attorney has informed us, because this was a lease, that if there was damages to the vehicles or if there was overage on mileage and stuff like that, that we were aware of that. The city attorney said at that point that he would prefer that it come to the City Commission so that you were aware of it. So based upon the purchasing policy, that's why it didn't initially come, but because of a recommendation from the city attorney, that's why we brought it forward.
And if I could interject too, it also falls under the routine goods with the amount of the resolution that you have adopted. So there's that threshold amount that keeps it under.
Correct, yep.
So he's right, it wouldn't have come to commission just except for that one form.
Okay, well, appreciate you clarifying that. And then the second question I had is, how long do you think this trial is going to last? When do you think you'd have some feedback to see if this is a worthy endeavor to pursue for our fleet in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to start to see information fairly soon. We've had it just over a week. It still has a 63% charge. So that's kind of one of those other things that we're looking is, based on mileage, what's that's going to compare to gasoline and stuff like that before we start making those recommendations. My hope is within 6 months we would have some usable information. I mean, we've already learned a lot about, the installation of the Type 2 charger that we have. We've looked at, what it would require for our installation of our overhead lines and if we have to do those upgrades and stuff. So we're using it, like I had said, for every aspect. We're not just using it necessarily for the customer, but to educate our staff and stuff. If you are in a neighborhood and you see stuff like this and you notice that there's an EV around, these are some of the things that we should address. Because we don't always get notification from a customer that, they purchased an EV. They don't always look. We do have rebates and stuff, but they don't always reach out to us for that. So we're just trying to make some educated decisions, so that our staff can, help our customers, but also help our grid and the neighbors that are in that area.
All right, thank you very much. And to the city manager, is that something we could get an update on when they feel like they have enough information?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Coakley.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. I'm not going to vote no on this, but I would ask in the future that we don't put the cart before the horse on something like this. I mean, what would happen if it doesn't pass, and just something on that aspect of it, just because you never know. Just for future thinking.
All right, all set, Commissioner. Commissioner Bernie Overshaw.
Where is this truck going to be stored, and who is using this truck? Is it going home with that person? Where is this truck being stored?
Yeah, the primary, right now it's being stored at our service building in a secured facility in the back. As I had mentioned earlier, it'll primarily be driven by myself, as well as some other administrative staff that we have, office staff primarily. It's not meant to be a crew truck for the sheer fact that we don't want a ton of miles on it. We don't want damage to the vehicle.
So the majority of the time, you are driving the truck?
Yes, ma'am.
So might I say, really, you have a new truck?
It's a work vehicle. It'll be used for work purposes. It'll be used for, transportation, throughout the city on job sites. It's not my personal vehicle. I have a personal vehicle that I drive primarily. It is simply a vehicle, for using while I work.
I think I'm going to vote no on this. I think it's a waste of our city money, to be honest with you. I feel that right now we have our own trucks. I just feel that it's a personal, I really just feel that it's a personal new truck for you. I really just think it's a waste of our city money for, this to be a new truck for you to drive around. I feel that money could be used somewhere else, so it's going to be a no for me.
All right, any other commissioner? The only comment I have, I know you mentioned conversation about the weight to put in the state or upper stage charging, and it's really, my opinion, it's not necessarily for residents in the city. I mean, I think they could be, but residents, or not residents, people passing by the city, that they're looking, those charging stations by Myers are always filled now, and personally, I think we should be looking at ways to bring people downtown and have a couple stations downtown. And to me, it would be worth the investment because it's not just city residents. We're looking at bringing people here. So it's just some food for thought as you explore those things. So,
Can I weigh in on that? So we've actually, and we're definitely supportive of serving them. We've had some entities reach out. The Downtown Development Authority at one point was looking at researching, putting them in some of the parking lots and stuff downtown. And we absolutely are on board with, serving those. We just don't want to necessarily be on the bleeding edge of, investing a significant amount of money only to find out that how they charge is going to, go away, or the type of charger is going to go away, or something new is going to come along until it stabilizes. Then at that point, then we would reevaluate.
okay, thank you. Any other comments? All right, will the clerk please call the roll on motion to adopt?
Commissioner Tenney,
Yes.
DeWitt,
Yes.
Grunberg,
Yes.
Charlebois,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Coakley,
Yes.
Bernie Obershaw.
Oh,
6 yes.
Motion's been adopted. Will the clerk please read the next item of business?
Consent item 17. Commission as a whole resolution approving the term sheet for U.S. Bankruptcy Court, Eastern District of Michigan, in the matter of State Theater of Bay City, Bay County versus Clements Electric, Inc., Serenus Johnson and Sons Construction Company, Inc., and City of Bay City, as presented by Lambert Lesser attorney Keith Schaffner, in keeping with the directions, terms, and conditions provided in the closed session.
Is there a motion? Commissioner Morris.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Commissioner DeWitt.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner DeWitt.
I just want to note, and we had this discussion, that when the bankruptcy court finishes their proceedings, there'll be information we can hopefully disclose from that. But at this point, it's just a vote confirming that we agreed to what we agreed to in the closed session.
Okay. Commissioner Renberg.
I was just going to say, regarding a previous speaker who had commented regarding the city paying its bills, I wholeheartedly can respect that and understand it. Given the nuances of the case, I also know that we have a fiduciary obligation to our community, and unfortunately, this is the best result that we could come across that would be accepting to all parties. So,
All right. Anybody else? Commissioner Coakley.
Just want to agree with the commissioners in their statements. Ultimately, this was the best situation that we could have in a bad situation.
Anything else? Okay, seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Commissioner DeWitt,
Yes.
Renberg,
yes.
Charlebois,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Coakley,
Yes.
Bernie Obershaw,
yes.
Tenney,
Yes.
7 yes.
The motion's been adopted. Will the clerk please read the next item of business?
Consent item 18, mayoral appointment of Scott Ellis, Katie Booth, Kendall Misiak, Terry Multane, terms to expire January 1, 2028. Bethany Grodelshin, Brandon Martini, Scott Fisher, terms to expire January 1, 2027. Jan Rise, Nancy Jo Baker, Aiden Manchester Youth, terms to expire January 1, 2026, to the Parks and Recreation Committee.
Is there a motion? Commissioner Coakley.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Commissioner Runberg.
Second.
Discussion, Commissioner DeWitt.
So I checked the addresses of this, and 8 of the 9 are people from the northeast area, and 1 is a city staffer, another is a head of a different city board that's appointed. If the mayor would allow it, I would like to replace those 2 names with the only South Ender and only West Side resident to apply for this board, just to allow some diversity of thought on this board that's not all northeast based.
So you want to replace, who are you looking to replace?
Replacing Terry Multane and Jan Rise with John Davidson and Logan Kraus. The order or the term length is not one that I'm very particular on, but just replacing those 2 with the others that are from the other parts of town. Those are the 2 that I was looking at.
I mean, you have multiple folks that do sit on multiple different boards on here. It's purview of this commission to make the change, so you know, if you want to make that amendment, you're welcome to do so, but.
Just checking the.
So the term, yeah, those terms, so if you look at the terms, it does expire January 1st. So there'll be an opportunity in January for those 3 to look at. So this is anytime you establish a brand new board, right, you're going to have a bunch of people on and then they'll rotate through.
Correct, but you got 8 of the 9 and didn't accept, and had none that you didn't accept from the northeast area. You had 1 from the south end and 1 from the west side that you did not accept, and another from Columbus area, and then a non-city resident that you also did not approve. So I'm looking to replace the 2 that are already either a head of a different board or are a city staffer with people who are from the other parts of town. That's what I'm trying to do here. But it's a mayoral appointment.
I guess I brought forward, the city staff made some recommendations to myself. I reviewed those recommendations based on expertise, not necessarily on direct location per se, is why, but.
Well, if we have 8 people who are all in the Carroll Park neighborhood, they're going to pay more attention to Carroll Park than anywhere else, Roosevelt, Defoe, anything.
I mean, you're welcome to make that recommendation, and then if somebody supports it, then that's fine. That's at your purview.
I'll have to write this down to give it to the city clerk once I am done. But I move to amend the resolution to replace Terry Multane's term with John Davidson's and replace Jan Rice's term with Logan Krause's.
All right, is there, so that's a motion made on the amendment. Is there a second? And then we can get into others. Commissioner Runberg?
Second.
Okay, other further discussion? We'll have to vote on that particularly, right? The making the amendment? Okay, so we need to discuss the changes to the appointment. So Commissioner Bernie Overshaw, you have a comment about the changes?
I was just wondering, can we just pull it until the next meeting and then you can amend it? You know, because the last time that we tried to do this, it was kind of like the same thing happened when we had another person that was kind of a double jeopardy thing. And can we just do that and then we'll just put it all together, you know, and you can kind of sort it through and then we don't have to go through it again? Just put it together and, you know, in the next July meeting?
I mean, we can, but I think this is a pretty simple change. So I mean, if it was more complicated, the reason why the last time was because staff had forgotten that we had to have a commissioner representative, which is Commissioner Coakley now. So that's why that got pulled that time. Commissioner Coakley?
Just want to be clear on the purpose of the committee. They're not going to be making or doing stuff for the parks. They're going to recommend it to the commission, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so ultimately, no matter which way we go on this, we still have the final decision on what's going to happen.
Correct.
And I understand, I mean, you've got some great names on here. I know some of them personally. This is a good thing, and I don't mind having the whole city represented either, so.
Okay. Commissioner Runberg, comment on the changes?
Yeah, I support Commissioner DeWitt's changes. We have obviously other parks in Carroll Park. I'm thinking over in the 8th Ward, we have Nate Doan Park, and in my ward, we have Ramsey Park. They both could use some love. So even though these are in advisory positions, I'd like to have that brain power spent broader than what it is currently proposed as.
All right. So there's any other discussion on the changes? So we'll need to take a roll call vote on the changes to the appointments.
This will be on the motion to amend. Commissioner Runberg.
Yes.
Charlebois.
Yes.
Morris. Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Bernie Obershaw.
Yes.
Tenney.
Yes.
DeWitt.
Yes.
7 yes.
Okay, motion's been approved. So will the clerk read the next, which is the full motion with the amendment?
This will be on the motion to appoint the Parks Committee as amended. Commissioner Charlebois.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Bernie Obershaw.
Yes.
Tenney.
Yes.
DeWitt.
Yes.
And Runberg.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion approved. Is there any other business before us tonight?
Yes.
Oh, one more. Yes.
From the regular agenda, item 1, Commissioner DeWitt's resolution requesting change to Code of Ordinance, Chapter 110-27, moving the enforcement date for cutting lawns to May 15th.
Is there a motion, Commissioner Charlebois?
Yes.
So,
Motion?
motion approved. All right, is there support? Commissioner Runberg?
Second.
All right, motion is made. Discussion? Okay, will the clerk please, city manager.
I just want to make it clear that code enforcement is here if you want them to come and speak on the number of violations that we do starting before May. The yards are very long in May, and the neighbors are calling constantly, so this is just going to prolong the yards to be cut longer, and it's going to back that up too. That means that the contractor is going to have double those yards to cut once we hit May 15th. So I just want everybody to be clear that the calls aren't just going to come to City Hall, they're coming to you too. We get a number of calls in code enforcement, and if you want Sue to speak on the number of violations that she handles in May, she's more than happy to right now.
All right, all set. Commissioner DeWitt?
So the reason that I did it this way was I was looking for a way that would help improve the health of the ecosystem with, in terms of pollinators, and this was the easiest way to look at it the first time. This is something that we can revisit if we don't think it's going to be feasible for us as a city with the violations issue. However, I just wanted to get a starting platform because in discussions with individuals here in the chamber, most seemed like they were in favor of something, and I think that it's that this is a step, and if it is not feasible for our city, we can look at a different step that would likely be a little more intense for us to write out, but this was just a first step. So if we are having enough issues, and I'm okay with Mrs. Coggin come up and speaking if she would like about that, but that's just why this is proposed this way.
I think the feasible part is something you have to look at, but I also have to think about the blight, right? Because we get a lot of calls about blight, and neighbors are calling all the time.
It's kind of like
This is gonna
it's kind of
escalate
like
it.
6 to 1, half dozen the other for this one, yeah.
Yep.
So just real, I know the Commissioner Runberg had a comment, but I know in the city of Saginaw, they partnered with the Saginaw Basin Land Conservancy for some pollinator garden areas. Maybe there's a compromise. We can have some discussions with those folks about it. Commissioner Runberg?
It was kind of my recommendation too, is partnering with an organization like that to determine the best way to be able to maintain the ecosystem. That said, I think if the complaints start rolling in prior to the May proposal date, it's something we could add to a list, and yeah, we get started a little bit later, but as an arbor city, I think it's incumbent upon us to be able to maintain the ecosystem and lead forward in the greater Saginaw Bay area in taking a step like this. Thank you.
Oh, Commissioner Morris.
Can I object and refer back to staff to see if we can come up with some other solutions then?
Okay, so there's a referral back to staff. So is there objection to refer back to staff? I don't see anybody object to refer back to staff. So with that being said, any other business?
So I'm clear, am I working with an organization? What am I doing?
Oh, so refer back to staff. Commissioner Morris, it's you're referring.
I need a direction. You can't just refer.
Find another solution outside of, for the pollinating.
If I may,
With Commissioner DeWitt.
just refer to staff and have the commissioners work on it, because this is something I think we should approach on our own before having staff go and try to shotgun into everything to find a solution. I'd rather it come from our side for this one.
All right, you all set? Any objection to that? All right, does that conclude our business tonight?
Yes, it does.
We are adjourned.